Greetings, I am Samyo Hangma Rai, and today we're going to study a chapter titled A Century of World Population Trends from 1950 to 2050 of grade 10. So let's begin the class now. A Century of World Population Trends, 1950 to 2050. Today, the world's population is more than 3 times larger than it was in the mid-20th century. It took around 37 years since 1950 for human numbers to double, surpassing 5 billion inhabitants in 1987. Furthermore, the global population is estimated to double again in about 70 years, rising over 10 billion by 2059. Over the 100 years, the world population was growing the fastest, particularly between 1962 to 1965, when it was increasing on average by 2.1% per year. Since then, the pace of population growth has slowed by more than half owing to reduced levels of fertility. In 2020, and for the first time since 1950, the rate of population growth fell below 1% per year, and it is projected to continue to slow in the next few decades and through the end of this century. The global population could grow to around 8.5 billion in 2030 and add 1.18 billion in the following 2 decades, reaching 9.7 billion in 2050. Given its reliance on assumptions at the country level about the 2 components of global population growth, fertility and mortality, the projection of the global population is inherently uncertain. It typically becomes more uncertain over time. However, the size of the world population in the near future is relatively certain. This is because the size and age structure of the population over the next few decades are largely the result of demographic processes that have already taken place in the recent past. In particular, most of the women whose offspring will contribute to the population growth through 2050 are already alive. The global population is still growing, though at a reduced rate. Some countries and regions continue to experience further population growth, while others have witnessed stabilization or begun to decrease in population size. The world's 2 most populous regions in 2022 were Eastern and Southeastern Asia. 2.3 billion people, representing 29% of the global population, lived in these regions. Central and Southern Asia had 2.1 billion population, representing 26%. China and India accounted for the largest population in these regions, with more than 1.4 billion each in 2022. The total population of Europe and Northern America and that of Sub-Saharan Africa was comparable in size in 2022, with more than 1.1 and 1.2 billion people respectively. However, these 2 regions have reached such population size as a result of very different growth trajectories since the mid-20th century. Europe and Northern America have been growing at an annual rate of less than 1% since the mid-1960s, reaching a growth rate close to 0 in 2020 and 2021. The annual growth rate of the population of Sub-Saharan Africa peaked at 3% in 1978 and remained above 2.8% during the 1980s. Since the 1980s, Sub-Saharan Africa has been the region with the fastest growing population. Population of the World, SDG regions and selected groups of countries 2022, 2030 and 2050 according to the medium scenario. In the next 3 decades, the regions of the world will experience different growth rates of their population. Consequently, the regional distribution of the population in 2050 will significantly differ from that of today. Central and Southern Asia is expected to become the most populous region of the world by 2037, as the population of Eastern and Southern East Asia could start declining by the mid-2030s. Between 2022 and 2050, the population of Sub-Saharan Africa is expected to almost double, surpassing 2 billion inhabitants by the late 2040s. With average fertility levels remaining close to 3 births per woman in 2050, Sub-Saharan Africa is projected to account for more than half of the growth of the world's population between 2022 and 2050. In 2022, the size of the population in this region was growing at an annual rate of 2.5%, the highest among all 8 regions, or more than 3 times the global average of 0.8% per year. Europe and Northern America are projected to reach their peak in population and to begin experiencing a decline in the late 2030s due to sustained low levels of fertility. More than half of the projected increase in the global population between 2022 and 2050 is expected to be concentrated in just 8 countries: the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, and the United Republic of Tanzania. The populations of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the United Republic of Tanzania are expected to grow rapidly between 2 and 3% per year over the 2022-2050 period. Disparate population growth rates among the world's largest countries will change their ranking by size. For example, India is projected to surpass China as the world's most populous country in 2023. A century of world population trends, 1995 to 2050. It only took 37 years for the world population to surpass 5 billion. The highest population growth rate that has been recorded till now is 2.1% per year, which was between the years 1962 to 19. Birth rates, however, have decreased due to fertility and lower birth rate. But it is also estimated to have the world population change to 9.7 billion by the year 2050. China and India have the largest population in East and Southeast Asia. Population growth patterns are not similar, so we cannot predict what is going to be the cause. These countries are the drivers of the world population within the next few years, such as Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, and United Republic of Tanzania. The future, however, for the population is uncertain. We cannot really fully predict what could be the possible reasons, and the predictions could be wrong because the health standards and the societal trend may also change in the near future. Homework: what factors affect population? How do fertility and mortality contribute to the population size? And why will population vary in the next 30 years? If you have any feedback or suggestions, please feel free to write to us at learning@dearwalk.edu.np. See you in the next class with another lesson. Thank you.